Lori White and Mike Trank if you want, and Chet Bowen, and that way you don't have to. They don't have to.
Well, this comes first. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Goffstown Sewer Commission meeting of May 12th at 6 o'clock, and we are meeting in the lower level room 106 of the Town Hall. We have a statement to read regarding the right to know law meeting checklist. As acting chair of the Goffstown Sewer Commission, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are, A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. The Sewer Commission is utilizing a telephone conference line for this electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following telephone number: 603-766-JOIN, which is the numbers 5646, and using the participant code 785-645, followed by the pound sign. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with the proposed agenda. Providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem with telephone access, please call 603-384-3624. D, adjourning the meeting if public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance when each member states their presence. Also, please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Would you start with the people that are on the telephone, please?
Sure. Okay. Cool.
Lori White.
Selectman Bowen, your line is free.
Thank you. This is Chet Bowen, Select Board Rep, and I am the only one in the room.
And Mr. Trank, your line is open.
Michael Trank with Hoyle Tanner and Associates, and I am the only one in the room.
Okay, those are the three
Excellent.
callers.
And we'll continue the roll call here, starting to my right.
David Pierce, your new commissioner on the
Welcome aboard.
first session. Don't overwhelm me with details here.
Danielle Basora, Finance Director and Assistant Town Administrator.
Lynn Pooler, Sewer Secretary.
Mike Irigo, DPW.
Tim Redmond, Commissioner. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
And I'm Rob Trapez, the acting chair. Okay, so we will follow the roll call with public comment. Do we have any new callers on the line?
No new callers at this time.
Okay, seeing that no public is present, we will move on to the approval of minutes from February 18th, 2020.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Recuse, abstain.
You'll have still to do roll call.
Yeah, you can't just say aye, you have to call each one.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So you have to,
Tim Redmond,
aye, I approve the minutes.
David Pierce,
Abstain.
Rob Trapez, aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to new business. This is our first meeting since the town meeting. We welcome David Pierce to our ranks. Thank you very much for your service.
And I was properly sworn in by the town clerk.
Excellent. So we'll move forward with the election of officers. We need to elect a chair and a vice chair. I would like to nominate Tim Redmond for the position of chair.
I will accept.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we'll have to vote by roll call. Tim Redmond,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Rob Trapaz, aye.
I would like to nominate Rob Trapaz as the vice chair of the commission.
Second that.
I'll accept. We will vote by roll call. Tim,
Aye.
Dave Pierce, yes.
Rob Trapaz, yes.
Okay.
So moved. I think that officially puts you in charge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
But you don't have to sit in the middle.
I'll stay right here. We're going to, Lynn, at the earliest convenience, when you're able to order an extra nameplate, I assume you will do that for David?
I will resurrect my old one if they're in the same
That's
style.
what I was waiting for. I was going to
Great.
ask you if you already had one.
You're a good sewer commissioner, you're saving money already. Okay, I see on new business sewer invoices. What do we have there?
Well, that was the discussion that we originally wanted to have. A couple of you had asked me to look into different options with the interest or when the payment due date was.
So I can elaborate on that for the public if you'd like to know what you were asked to do.
Sure.
Okay. So I conceived a plan to have Lynn research, and Danielle helped her with the research. I thought it would be fair to some businesses in Goffstown, most especially all the restaurants that have been shut for the last 2.5 months, if there was a way to abate a 3-month portion of their sewer bill, since in fact they were not using their sewer. And I thought it would be fair to the restaurants, since they are closed and they are unable to do business because of the COVID-19 crisis. I asked Lynn to look into this on behalf of the commissioners, and I will turn it over to her for what she has discovered for us.
On top of that, Dave had also sent an email asking if we could defer the interest for a few months.
Okay.
And that was something we also looked into. And now I will let Danielle answer that.
Thank you, Danielle.
All right. So in looking into it, we considered existing RSAs as well as existing emergency orders that have come through the governor's office. At this time, the Sewer Commission operates under RSA 76, which is applicable to all of the sewer processes and everything from the governing body to what the responsibilities and abilities are of the governing body here. And currently, the provisions of RSA 76 only provide for abatements, that you would have to follow. Sorry, I just looked down at my note and saw that this particular abatement's under RSA 149I:18, so as a reference. That one actually turns you to a general statement that says, for good cause shown, the Sewer Commission can make an abatement. However, that abatement is after the bill is actually issued and someone comes forward requesting an individual abatement. So that is what happens under current operations. And when we looked into other portions as far as how interest can be charged, that's when it pointed us towards RSA 76, which are the tax RSAs, which identify the rate of interest and when the liening and deeding process will occur. So in looking at those, it does state that the rate must be 8%. It has to be 30 days, at least 30 days from the due date, from the bill date to the due date. And it specifically identifies that you must go through and issue those sewer rents in accordance with the regular,
It's good.
the regular schedule. Thank you, Rob. So when we looked into emergency order number 25, which is the governor's order in relation to abating tax interest, which is something that's been talked about much more recently, that is a blanket abatement, but that is specifically for property taxes. It does not apply to sewer. And when we reached out to NHMA to ask for clarification, they gave us that same guidance, that currently the only option would be for the sewer commission to operate under RSA 149I:18, which would be to authorize abatements for good cause shown on an individual request basis.
So, in your opinion, if a restaurant in the town were to request a abatement of a period of time, 2 months or 3 months or whatever the request is, then the sewer commission is within its authority, legal authority, to grant those abatements?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So the bill would still go out as originally
Okay?
scheduled, and then they could come forth and, show that they were closed or whatever it is that the commission feels is necessary to prove that, they weren't utilizing those services, or, whether it's a full abatement or a partial abatement.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'd like to expand this discussion with the commissioners. There was also businesses that were deemed non-essential that were forced to close. They also are being given a sewer use charge for a period of time that they were forced to be closed by the governor's order. So with the discussion of the other commissioners here, does anybody feel that businesses that were deemed non-essential could also be eligible to request an abatement? Turn it over to the other commissioners.
How, this is Dave Pierce. I would assume, Lynn, your records show who are restaurants' customers.
I can.
You have a data element that
Yeah,
says
I can figure that
a
out.
customer is
yes.
restaurant.
Yeah.
How would we identify the other customers?
Well, I think the ball is going to be in their court to identify themselves to us, under what Danielle has told us.
Would that be implemented when the bills go out to include an insert saying, if your business, something to the fact, if your business has been closed by the governor's executive orders, we will
Consider.
consider an abatement, but technically you have to ask for it.
I think that sums it up. Would that be correct, Danielle?
That's correct, yes. You could put an insert in with your bill that would direct people to contact Lynn as the sewer secretary and follow a process that you develop. It could be, fill out this portion of a form, something. You'd want to make sure that you have it tracked and in the record, and then those abatements would have to come forward for official vote at the next meeting.
And they would all, I believe that, Tim Redmond speaking, I also believe they would have to qualify themselves for it, but with some documentation that they were deemed non-essential and that they were in fact closed. Not that we're going to have any, shenanigans going on, but I think it's, in fairness to everyone, you should at least document that you were deemed non-essential and you were closed for a period of time. And I think the period of time should be limited to the end of the billing period, which is end of June.
June 30th.
All right, so it'd be June 30th would be the cutoff for this round of bills. And then any subsequent bills beyond that would be subject to the governor's orders for an extension or whatever the case may be for required closures, okay?
This is Rob Trapez. I guess first thing that comes to mind, and just for clarity, the majority of or portions of the money that we generate from the sewer bills is to pay the city of Manchester for the treatment of the wastewater. And that amount of money is fixed. So this is something then that we're taking out of our available funds to assist people, which I think it's a great idea and a great cause. Are the RSAs, the 149 and the 76 that you mentioned, are those tied to the executive order, the emergency order, or is that for any necessary
So
occurrence?
the emergency order ties specifically to RSA 76 regarding the property taxes only.
Okay,
And the other RSA is the one that the sewer commission operates under. That's the sewer RSAs, chapter 149.
okay, so basically the ability for us to abate a sewer bill lies in that
In your
RSA
regular.
that has nothing to do with the emergency order. What I'm getting at here is I just want to make sure that we're not setting a precedent that's going to be difficult to reverse down the road.
Well, Tim Redmond again, I think it's clear that this is a specific case that's related to the COVID-19 crisis, and it will be, it is not going to be a continuous event. This is specifically related to the governor's executive order to close businesses in the state of New Hampshire. David?
Yes, the notice that we would provide to the customers would have to also
Make reference to that.
make reference to the governor's emergency orders for COVID-19.
And I also think, Rob, is that we are going to see a lesser amount of flow to Manchester with a lot of businesses being closed. Is that, would that be correct, Mike Yurgo? Would we see a
I
reduced
don't
number?
know, I haven't looked at the flow since they've been closed.
But do
you
the,
may have an increase in the flow coming from the residents because
Residents,
everybody's
not-
home normally wouldn't be.
well, once again, I think this is an effort the commission should make, and if there's some short-term loss to us, I think we should absorb it and work to help the businesses in town and the ones that have been closed. And I just think that we need to do something to provide a good faith effort towards our customers in these times when they have not been able to.
I 100% agree, the restaurant industry has been particularly hard hit. And they are what I consider a wet business, so they have much higher sewer bills as a result of their billing is based on the flow, which is based on service. So I know their service is way down, and I think that we'll need to come up with some sort of criterion or, methodology of evaluating it, because when you start talking about other businesses, they may be less impacted and their sewer bills are going to be less.
I'm just stating that nonetheless, they were closed, so they were not using the facilities, therefore, I do not feel that they, they're not using water, so they're not running their sewer.
Mhm.
And I think businesses that were deemed non-essential were also hit as hard as the restaurant businesses, and I feel that we should be working to help mitigate these issues with them. And that's just my personal opinion as a commissioner.
Think about it, most of the businesses in Goffstown are still open.
Yeah.
Except for the smaller ones. If you look at the bigger ones,
Mhm.
they're all, other than Planet Fitness, they're a big one probably because they have showers and,
Right, but they're also getting paid through the property owner. They're not getting paid through an individual.
Well, this is something that's going to come up in your billing process, because some businesses have a property owner that pays the sewer bill.
All right.
So I'm certain whoever's paying the bill is going to want to have a representation of the business that they rent to, make an affidavit to the commission, or a statement to the commission requesting a reduction in their sewer costs, because
Well, that.
I think the ball's in their
Excuse
court.
me,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
David here. Jim, that brings up the ethical question, would the owner of the facility actually pass the relief on to the individual store owners? We have no control over that.
Well, we'd have to work on that. We'd have to come up with a formula, like you said.
and I'm
Well-
not sure how Shaw's Plaza, how that would work because you have the Dollar Tree and the Big Lots that are still open, but then in the same plaza, the same bill, you would have the trampoline, the Japanese restaurant, Subway's still open.
Yeah, Subway's still open.
Well, we have the ability to look at this on a case-by-case basis, and I think, like, as Tim said, I think it's the right thing to do.
Also, In a document that you were going to produce for us, Lynn, you have to state that, any abatements are at the discretion of the sewer commissioners.
Yes.
There's nothing guaranteed. It's a discretionary decision based on the sewer commissioner's assessment of the request.
I will send you the.
When are you going to be sending the bills out? That's my next question.
I am sending them out. Actually, they're going to be mailed out on, let's see, May 29th, I think I said.
So we have to make a decision on a letter for you to insert into the bills prior to our next commissioners' meeting.
Yes.
So I think I would request that you diligently get something and email it to the commissioners, and we can respond to you by email with a affirmative or negative decision or comment or
Perhaps.
edits.
Perhaps with the forthcoming motion that it looks like you're going to make, if you would include in your motion to authorize the chair to sign an appropriate letter.
Yes. But that would be after other commissioners have reviewed the letter and had chances to edit.
That's his discretion if he wishes us to.
Okay.
Because the motion would be to authorize him to sign a letter.
Do we have more discussion on this matter before we move on it? Rob?
I think it's a good idea.
David?
We should implement some relief, yes.
All right, Danielle, can you help me with the exact wording and and help me state the RSA? So I will start with, I'd like to make a motion for the sewer commissioners to be able to provide abatements to restaurant and/or business owners under RSA
149-1:18.
So that's a period.
Yeah.
All businesses and/or restaurants must apply for the abatement after they receive their tax bill, sewer bill, excuse me. Thank you, Michael. Sewer bill. At which time the sewer commissioners will review the request
And if
and
appropriate,
make appropriate actions. Take appropriate action, correct?
the note ought to make reference to the URL for downloading the abatement request form.
Do we have an abatement request form?
I'm new here, so.
I don't.
No, I think
Want you to make one?
We don't, but we can make one.
we can make it, yeah.
And we can put it on the website.
Oh. Is it easy?
Staff will make an appropriate abatement form available on the town website.
Before the 29th of May.
Well, no,
Once the
before
bill
next-
goes out, they have until June 30th to make payment. So-
Now, Lynn, I got a little more for the emotion. I would also request that the commissioners authorize the chairman to sign the letter prior to the next regular scheduled meeting, after review by the other commissioners and acceptance of the document. To sum it up, Rob? David?
That's the longest motion any board has ever made in this
I know,
town.
phew.
But you know what? It's important, it was important to get it all right.
Don't ask me to repeat it, but I'll second it.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Lynn, are you good with the language?
Yep, it's, okay, and it was, you made the motion and.
Rob and David seconded
Dave
it.
seconded.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a roll call vote. David Pierce?
Yes,
Rob Trepaz?
Aye.
Tim Redmond votes in the affirmative. Motion passes. Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, also to do with sewer billing, I started the process of the bills because you need to sign them before I can actually send the bills out, and since they'll be going out before we meet again, I printed it out, and I just need the three of you to sign it before we leave here tonight.
So consider it done.
Thank you. Okay, and the last thing to do with the sewer invoices is, we had brought this up before, but I'm bringing it up again. Danielle and I have looked at the possibility of buying a sealer, which would, so instead of stuffing everything and buying all the envelopes every time, spending the lots of time stuffing it, which helped contribute to carpal tunnel, we thought that we could have a discussion of possibly buying or leasing the sealer.
Explain what that is to us, please.
So there's a machine called, it's a tabletop pressure sealer. So the forms that the commission currently uses for their sewer bills is what's called a Z-fold form. So it's an 8.5 by 11, and it passes through this machine that folds it into thirds. And because it's a pressure seal form already by design with our software product, it would allow the system to compress with the right amount of pressure to adhere the edges, and then it can be postage applied to the outside and mailed without requiring it being input into an additional envelope or sending a return envelope. So it would save additional funds on envelopes, in addition to, like Lynn said, she has had carpal tunnel surgery twice, so.
Excuse me, Danielle, is this one of those envelopes where you, it has perforated sides?
Yes.
And you rip off the sides and then it opens up?
Which is what we have, that's what the form is now, and I've seen people comment on Facebook and all that why, it looks like we're duplicating the postage, but we're not. And then they say, why are you putting an envelope inside an envelope?
Also, the form has a remittance stub that they can tear off and return with their payment for it to be applied in the system. And when that form is not properly sealed, it ends up, when you open the form, it ends up in the middle of the page. And that has added to a lot of confusion because people are tearing off the outer portion of what would be the envelope that just has their address, and it doesn't have their account number or any other reference, just who it was mailed to. And they're sending that in because it's the bottom portion. Whereas if it were properly sealed, when you open it, it would only be 2 sections tall, and it would say tear off this portion. So we think it would help reduce confusion in that way as well.
And how do you get the addresses on them?
It's automatic, it's already on there.
No, I mean, like the address for the person that you're sending the bill to, is that printed?
It's already on there. What I do now is right now, we take the bill and we put it through the folding machine and
Right.
fold them, and then I put it in an envelope that has a window.
So how does the new arrangement work?
It's the same form. We just wouldn't put it in an envelope. It would seal it instead of just fold it. It's the exact same form.
Yeah. So
It
if,
has the address on it and everything already.
yeah, if you were to look at the invoice now, the way it's formatted, the top half of the form tells them what their current charges are, and, if they have anything past due or any interest amounts, the due dates. Then the bottom, middle half, I should say, is the remit to portion that they can tear off that has a summary of the account number and name and what the total charges are. And then the very bottom third of the page is what would be the person's name and mailing address. And it's formatted in such a way that has the town's logo, and it says, apply a fixed postage here is what it actually says in the top right-hand corner. So it almost looks like if you were to see a payroll remittance for a direct deposit stub, how it has that name and address on the bottom half.
So it's able to fold it so that all the information is buried, and the only thing on the front is the name and address and our,
That's correct. The
Information.
back side has that tinted kind of randomized
Security.
pattern, security pattern.
Should have brought.
So basically, the software and the form are designed to be used with this machine.
Yes.
We just don't have it, we're doing it the hard way.
Right,
This way.
exactly.
Capacity as treasurer, and with all the bills that this town may send the residents for one reason or another, there isn't such a machine in other departments?
So currently, there is not. There is an old folding machine that the sewer commission used to have for the previous secretary for folding the bills. And the other town forms currently in existence are not designed for this type of form because they were designed earlier on before we got onto this new software system. So some of the forms may eventually change in the future, but at this time, they're not the same.
So if we were to make an approval of your request, this would be for the December billing cycle probably?
Yes.
And what is the total expense for this whole project?
So it depends on the model. Lynn and I recommend the Auto Seal FD 1506, which is sold by Formax, or would be provided by Formax. It's a tabletop machine similar to what we have now. However, the purchase price under the New Hampshire government pricing is $3,998 if it were to be purchased outright. There is a lease option, but it's a 5-year lease, and that is $138 per month. And personally, having dealt with other equipment leases, as well as the accounting for the leases and, the maintenance of the machines, I recommend purchasing it outright, because after 5 years in the lease, you will have paid $8,280, whereas if you purchase it outright, you're paying just under $4,000, so less than half. And as far as the lifespan of the machine, I can say that we had a similar machine for sewer billing in Bedford, and we had the same machine for over 12 years, and we never had an issue with it. There is an additional option for you to have a 1-year maintenance contract. That maintenance contract is $650. I do recommend that after you get out of the first year, even if you opted not to take it in the first year, but I think personally it would be a good idea to take it each year. But going forward, the only recurring portion would be that maintenance contract, which you can cancel at any time. You don't have to carry it for 5 years or any set amount of time like you would with a lease.
And you'd get us the information on what the maintenance contract would cover?
Yes, yep, Lynn can provide that.
Once we get the
Doesn't have to right now.
information from them, yeah.
Yeah, I can get that to Lynn, and from the, Formax is the company that would be dealing with the product.
And on top of that, you'd be saving about $900 a year in envelope
Right.
charges because we purchase all the, both return and window envelopes.
So I guess the question is, what sort of consumables are there with this machine? Obviously, you have this perforation,
Actually, the perforation, everything is on the form itself.
so that's the forms that we already buy?
Exactly. So there's no consumables in the machine itself because it's a pressurized system. It's literally just adding, pounds per square inch to the form, and that adheres the glue that already is on the form, which is part of what's added to the confusion. The folding machine that the commission currently exists for folding the bills has a kind of pressure set of rollers in the process. However, it's not enough pressure to seal all of the forms. So what happens is it goes through, and sometimes it's half sealed or unsealed. So it's adding to confusion because when people take it out of the envelope, it's half open and half not, and some of the perforations don't line up the same way. So it would indicate that either we kind of keep hobbling along like Lynn has been, trying to get it through the system and not jam, or she goes to hand folding, which we really wouldn't want her to do with her medical history.
Commissioners? All right, the last question I have is, so, to be clear to everyone, you're looking to purchase a machine to do this function. We already have the paper, we already have everything we need. Software for the computers have to be bought or anything?
Everything, it's, all we're doing is eliminating the step. Everything is the same that I
So-
normally do, we're just eliminating stuffing the envelopes
So
and all that.
So we are going to buy a machine at your request, if we approve it, and then you will be back in business without any other expenses, other than a maintenance contract that you may be recommending.
Correct, and we
Yes.
wouldn't have the expense of all the envelopes that we
In
purchased.
So-
in 4 years, we amortize the initial cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the maintenance contract, they do come in and service the machine if anything ever, faults on it.
Is there a warranty period on the machine? So if we wouldn't want to buy a maintenance contract if it's a warranted for 1 year.
Right, I believe it is. I will have to get that information from the sales representative. They gave us the quotes back, we've looked at it a few times, but this last quote was from September.
So I would request, if the other commissioners are agreeable, that you get everything updated for the next commissioners' meeting, and we can make a decision at the next meeting and get all the information together, the final expense costs, and find out about the warranty period, and get the maintenance contract information, and we can put it as an agenda item on our next meeting next month.
Did you say you had experience with a similar machine in another town?
Yes. Yeah,
How reliable was it?
12 years, she said.
So 12 years, but I mean, did you have it repaired in that 12 years?
We actually had the service contract on it, and they would come out a couple times a year to just double check the machine, check all the gears, and everything was always fine. And actually, that particular machine that lasted for 12 years was also used to fold and send out the tax bills. And
Wow.
Bedford sends out 12,000 tax bills.
I'm just thinking,
Every-
we use this twice a year,
Yeah.
and it's $650 a year for the maintenance contract. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah,
it just
it-
seems like proportionally high cost for
Right. And
something that's gonna,
I would say it's also worth that we double check with the sales representative to see if we can add that at a later date. So say we, look through the process and the commission chooses that they want to purchase a machine but not the contract, and maybe 3 or 4 years down the road,
Yep.
then maybe add that piece.
or just
see
what
if
the
that's an option.
repair availability is. I mean, if it's a
Yeah, it's a-
local rep that has service capabilities,
Yep, I believe there is
Might be
an
cheaper to Pay
hourly,
for the
pay
repair at
for it
the
once,
time.
I mean, especially when
right,
That's a good
you know,
point, yeah.
like an hourly
it's like
service
18% of
repair.
the.
I mean, we're going to use it twice a year.
Yeah.
How many bills do you send out approximately?
2,200.
Like David said, I mean, every 4 years.
Any more discussion on the request from Finance and Lynn at this point? We'll move it to the next monthly meeting. Okay,
We're good.
okay, thank you.
Did you want Mike Trank to give a report? I know he's on the phone.
Sure,
We usually do, and he's not here to remind us, so.
that would come under old business, so,
I have another finance issue.
David?
Lynn, I believe you need an item to be ratified concerning the writing off of the principal balance of 4 accounts that are under $5.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm ready to make that motion. There are the motion is for 4 accounts that are balance under $5, that the principal balance be, is it abated or waived?
Abated.
Abated. And the account number customers are 13,563, 14,978, 16,759, and 16,705. And all of their balances were less than $5. If we were to pursue those balances, it would be much more expensive for the commission.
This is the one that I had sent the email out on, and everybody agreed in the email. We're just formalizing it right now.
All right, so there's a motion to provide abatements for 4 accounts that are under $5.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, made by David, seconded by Rob. Do we have any discussion on the motion?
No.
Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. David Pierce?
Yes?
Rob Trepaz?
Yes.
Tim Redmond votes in the affirmative, so it passes unanimously.
Thank you, Dave.
There was a side question, Robin, on that same issue. Lynn, do you track various customers out of these 2,200 that may, for one reason or another, have small amounts that don't get paid?
I haven't, but I have just started tracking that, yes, for the future.
Thank you.
All right, the next item of business will be under old business, and I'm going to ask our engineering representative, Mike Trank from Hoyle Tanner, to speak with an update on the Elm Street wastewater pump station improvements. Mike Trank.
Mike, if you push *9, it'll allow you to access the line.
His stuff is the one that's paper clipped. This is what he emailed me, the ones that are paper clipped together.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. All right, the design of the pump station has been progressing. All of our portion of it, the structural work, the site work, the building, the process, is pretty much complete. There was a set of drawings that was sent around to you folks today, attached to an email PDF file. So that's a progress set for you to take a look at. Our HVAC subconsultant has completed their work as well, so we have their plans and specifications. And right now, our electrical engineering sub is working on the electrical portion of the project, the plans and specifications. So that's the last piece we need. We do have progress specifications completed as well, in addition to the drawings that I sent today. And my thinking is that, I can probably send around a set of well, I have the drawings, but I can probably send around a set of the draft specifications if you'd like to review probably next week. And I do need to get a progress set, plans and specifications up to the New Hampshire DES for review and comment. So I'm thinking I'd probably do that next week as well. And then once the electrical work is completed, at that point we'll be able to send a more finalized or a completed set of drawings and specifications both to the town and the New Hampshire DES for review and approval.
Mike, Tim Redmond here. We are going to include the slip lining of the force main as part of this project, is that correct?
No.
We are going to do it separately?
Based on the discussions we had, we thought it would probably be more cost effective for the slip lining contractor to be hired directly. It can be done concurrently with this project during the construction phase of this project, but we felt that it would be, or the commissioners felt that it would be more cost effective to contract directly for that work.
Thank you, Mike. David Pierce?
Mike, two independent contractors working on the same site, would that introduce some conflict as to one is in the way of the other?
I think that would be minimal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David. Rob, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Mike, are you able to talk a little bit about the driveway layout? And I don't know if Mike here in the room or Corey have comments on that as well. I know that the driveway's been a design point for some time here, so.
Yeah, we were asked to take a look at the driveway layout because of the snow plowing issues primarily. It's happened a couple times in the past where because of the steepness of the driveway, the snow plow has actually slid right into the building. It's a direct path from Elm Street down the driveway to the pump station. And in fact, the plow or the truck has hit the building a couple of times in the past. So we were asked to look at changing the layout, modifying that layout, which we did. I sent a few iterations of that back and forth with Mike Yergo, and we've come up with a layout that I think Mike concurs with at this point. I'll let him speak to that, but that proposed layout is shown on drawing C-1, which is sheet 3 of 20 on the drawing set that was attached to my email today. So that shows a proposed layout for the drawing, which would actually expand the pad in the lower end of the driveway. And it would expand such that it would encroach on the abutting property. So obviously, in order to do that, you would need to get an easement, a permanent easement from the abutting property owner for that additional driveway. Additionally, we thought it might be useful if you're going to go after easements, assuming that you agree with this concept, to allow for an extra easement and a permanent easement for snow storage, for snow plowing in the winter. And then on top of that, we want to have some kind of a temporary easement during construction to allow not only for construction operations, but also for storage of or stockpiling of materials during construction.
Mike, Tim Redmond here. I know you've been talking to Mike Yergo, and maybe Mike will answer this. Why are we not considering snow storage straight ahead onto our own property?
The reason why what you see is it's shaded is where the paved area is gonna be. We want to be able to turn the vehicle down at the bottom where the shade area is. It's a very steep driveway, and like Mike says, a couple of people has already been into the building with vehicles. So we needed a place to turn around. And to turn the vehicle down, they had a vehicle template that the HA used to determine the radius of the parking area, or the turnaround area itself. Because if you turn right, if you're coming down the hill, it's a very steep grade to begin with. And if you try turning right on towards the brook itself, you will slide into that addition, because all that's on a slope. So we need a flat area to turn the vehicle around and someplace to land on a flat spot when you're plowing and trying to turn the vehicle around. Plus, we do have septic trucks that go inside once a year to clean out the pump station as well.
But you show your snow storage area off of the pavement, is that correct?
Correct.
So,
And you would have that option of snow storage straight ahead if you're going down the driveway alongside the pump station building. But, we thought that we'd at least put that on the table as an option to give yourself that extra area if you wanted to have it for snow storage.
I just wouldn't want to kill the deal right out front with buying an easement from the adjacent landowner, because we're asking for more than just parking. Now we want to pile snow on their land. And people sometimes
Sure.
have concerns about snow being on their property for contaminants and any other thing. So if we could keep our snow storage on the town land and ask and buy an easement for a driveway on the neighbor's land, I think that would be an easier pill to swallow for the neighbor. So that would be a
Sure.
consideration I would like to just put out on the table.
Yep, understood.
Mike, this is Rob. What's the area of that? Looks like it's 18 feet long. What's the width of that snow area?
Depth.
Just the storage area itself?
Yeah.
It's the long length is 18, the
About
short
10?
length looks like it's 9.
Yeah.
The square footage is about 170 square feet, assuming a 10-foot width.
All right, well, we can discuss it, and I am in favor of this proposal, Tim Redmond speaking. I'm in favor of this proposal, and I'm in favor of approaching the neighbor and see if we can't purchase a permanent easement for a driveway as well as a temporary easement for construction purposes.
Okay.
Rob, do you have any comment on that?
No, I think it's fine. I mean, we could try for the snow, or, like you said, have it, even if you go straight down, you could have problems with that property line.
The proper line goes in through the parking, or the turnaround area too.
Yeah.
So you're gonna need something on the, you're gonna need an easement on the south side of the parking lot where it's on his property.
It'll be a lot less than piling it on his lawn, because that is all lawn, right?
That's a lawn, yeah.
David, do you have any comments?
Mike, the northwest corner of this asphalt, isn't that also over the boundary line?
It is over the boundary line, but it is all, it's sewer easement. What you see, it's kind of like a regular lot lines. As you can see, it's kind of like a square in a property line that goes to Elm Street. The rest of the lot is actually, has an easement on it for the sewer line and the force main to go through. There's a gravity sewer manhole, that's on an easement.
My understanding is that the town either owns that small lot where that drainage swale is, or at least has an easement for it.
Yeah, there's a strip of land in between the building and the brook itself that is, there's an easement
Right.
that goes around it. It's kind of a weird setup, but
I think we should at least look and make sure that the easement's worded such that we can install permanent asphalt in it.
So,
I mean,
Do we know, well, we can follow up and do some research into who actually owns that parcel.
yeah, they did a D-research when we had Sanford, Earl Sanford do the, find our property lines and see what the boundaries were. So that was performed by Earl Sanford in Surveying and Engineering.
And do you remember what they found?
Yeah, I got a plan of it, and it's owned by, there's a strip that's owned by, I don't know if it's the guy across the street or the actual guy owns a property on the, where the pump station sits on. I would have to look at the plan again. It's been a while.
Mike Trank, this is Tim Redmond here. Mike, what is the recommended procedure for approaching a neighbor to purchase an easement? Should the sewer commissioners do that, or someone else?
I think that would be most appropriate. The first thing you would need to do is have an appraisal done to find out the value of that easement. And then we could formulate an offer letter for you to send to the abutting property owner to make an offer for that easement.
Would it be
But you would,
recommended to have a small drawing and approach the property owner one-on-one, commissioners to the owner in just directly, and sort of have a face-to-face and discuss it prior to anything happening?
yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense, actually.
So I would, I'll look to the other commissioners to work with us, work as a group to make an approach to that landowner in the future, based on your recommendation, and hopefully we could have a single-page plan, full-size, at least one copy of that C1 to give that landowner so they could look at it and think about it?
Sure.
Okay, good. Thank you, Michael.
Mike, this is Dave Pierce. I drive by this facility every day, but help me here. To the west of the pump station, what is the feature that has two parallel stone walls?
The brook.
It's the brook,
That's the
Okay.
brook.
but are those stone wells, stone walls?
Yeah,
It's
those are
lined.
stone walls.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a concrete box culvert that goes beneath Elm Street, and that discharges into that brook, which is lined on both sides by stones.
Is there, Commissioners, anything else on the Elm Street wastewater pump station improvements update?
Nope.
David?
No.
All right, then, we also have a document, Mike Trank, about the sewer system accessibility fee schedule. Do you have anything that you want to report on that this evening?
Wait a minute, before that happens, Chet had his hand up. I just want him to know that we've put you on unmute, so that you can join the discussion whenever you want now, so it's an open mic for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Chet, did Chet have comment?
So,
Okay.
I did a while back, but honestly, you got there without me just fine. So, I'm good. Thank you so
Well,
much.
we're leaving it
Sorry about
open
that.
now so that you can speak up whenever you want.
Apologize, that was first time phone bridge coordination.
I understand.
It's a brave new world.
Yes.
Okay, Mike, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Did,
No problem.
I'm going to ask if Corey White had any comment on this discussion?
Go ahead, Corey.
Hey there. What I was thinking with what I saw with that driveway design, if we didn't have the area for snow storage, I don't know what we would do with it. Try to back drag it and then try to push it past the building. I think the snow storage area is kind of a needed thing down there, seeing how space is so limited to begin with.
Okay, Corey, thank you very much.
I do have one more comment to make.
Sure, go ahead, Mike.
Well,
Mike Yurgo's up next.
Yeah, it's Mike Yurgo. When we hired Earl Sanford to do find out what our boundaries were on this property here, and we found that it was basically surrounded by easements. We had one of the lawyers meeting one of the sewer commissioners about 4 or 5 years ago come here and discuss some of this, what we should do with the property itself, where we have a lot of easements through there. And one of the recommendations they had was to actually do a property lines adjustment and actually own the property instead of having easements, because this is gonna be here forever and a day. So that was one of the options that this lady had that was a lawyer for the sewer commission at the time.
Did that person supply you with any proposed lot line adjustment
No, she didn't.
diagrams?
It was just, no, she didn't, they didn't come up with any proposed, lot line adjustment plan. They just recommended that to the sewer commission, that it's an option they could do, and it's probably better to clean up the site than have all these easements all over the site.
Well, maybe you could provide the commissioners with a copy of something that shows where all those easements are. I mean, you can see on here, there's an easement for the force main that comes out of the back of the pump station, but that's the only other easement that,
Well, there's actually another one that's in
easy to
there.
see.
Yeah, I don't see it on this plan.
I was gonna say, it's not shown on this plan.
No, there's one between the building and the brook.
So if it's possible you to provide us with some documentation, Mike, the commissioners could consider moving in that direction.
Yeah, I can give you this Earl Sanford survey plan that they did, and plus the deeds.
And if we could then possibly adjust the lot line to where the easement area would go and maybe purchase that area from that landowner instead of
Yeah,
purchasing an easement from that
and
landowner.
also I could be purchasing the land where the actually sewer manhole is, and the line from the street runs through that property to the pump station.
Okay?
You see a little head wall around the manhole?
Yeah.
Well, that's an easement, that piece of property there.
And that easement is from the property owner
I
to the
believe-
west,
I believe,
or the property owner that we're talking about
could be from the east.
could be from the east?
Right.
So we need a determination on all those
Right.
landowners.
But I
And
get
maybe-
that when we surveyed we had Earl survey the property.
Could you try to get some of that information together for another meeting, please?
Yeah.
Mike, you might want to talk to the assessor to get some of the
Deeds?
deeds and lot lines,
Yeah, we did.
maps and
We had-
lots and stuff.
We had, Earl survey did a deed research on the property.
If we were to purchase this small parcel, technically that reduces the the acreage of the
Joining lot,
adjoining lot, which
tax relief.
may be a tax relief.
As long as we don't create a non-conforming lot, too. If that's a 1 acre zone, and that's a 1 acre lot, maybe they don't want to give up any land, because then they become a non-conforming lot. So we have to do some research on this stuff.
Yeah,
Figure it out.
that was a pretty big lot.
Any more discussion on wastewater pump station improvements? Okay, we're gonna go back to Mike Trank. Mike, we have a sewer commission sewer system accessibility fee report in front of us. Do you have any update or recommendations on what this is doing?
Well, as you know, we've been working on this for, seems like a couple of years now.
Yep,
So we've made some revisions to the report based on some discussions and workshop meetings that we've had, so and so forth. So this is, I guess I'd call it a proposed final draft report for consideration and approval by the Sewer Commission. Having said that, the way it was left at a prior Sewer Commission meeting is the Sewer Commission has wanted to have hold a workshop meeting to review this and discuss it before taking any formal action on it. And then, of course, COVID-19 hit and everything, fell apart. But that was where it stood. It's a workshop meeting to go through this report and discuss this issue, and then the Sewer Commission would be able to formulate, their policy or their vote on this at a formal meeting at some time after the workshop.
thank you, Micah, for that update. So, in discussion with the commissioners here, we need to schedule that workshop. Would you like to delay it shortly until we see how this society begins to either get back to normal, or do you want to go ahead and schedule a workshop and just do it at 6-foot intervals like we're doing right now? What's your recommendation? Rob Trapas.
I could go either way. We could also do it via Zoom where Mike Trank could share a screen and we could go through it.
Okay?
One item that I guess a couple of things. One was I asked Mike Trank to issue this draft because I wanted to make sure David had the most appropriate version to look at, and we didn't waste time because we've been through several different iterations of this document. Mike Trank, there was one item that I think we were tracking, and that had to do with outdoor seating and how that was going to be incorporated into this accessibility fee schedule.
Page 5.
Right, and that was addressed in the latest draft.
Excellent.
Page 11.
I got 5 of 12 on mine.
Yes.
Outdoor seating?
Yes.
Top of the page.
Page 11 of 12.
Page 11, I got it on page 5 somehow.
No, 11 and
Maybe
12.
both.
It's in twice then.
It is. Actually, it's different.
Wait, make sure you got it in there.
It actually,
It's in there twice then.
yeah.
It's on page 5 and 11.
It says different things.
Slightly.
So Mike, why don't you take a look at that and see if they don't conflict with each other? We don't have to do this tonight unless Rob has a particular business to bring up regarding it.
No, it was really just to make sure we could all talk about it because we had a change of roster in the middle of it, and all I know is we need to get this resolved and move on. But
And to further that discussion, I think that if the governor opens outdoor seating to the restaurants, as they're saying they're going to, then they're going to be open for business at some limited capacity without using their indoor, and to act on it this year and institute anything this year would not be absolutely necessary. We could institute it in the fiscal year '21 with fair notice for everyone, if everyone.
well, yeah, we certainly don't want to
No, we're not
make a
gonna
bad
surprise
situation
you,
worse.
no. So, Mike Trank, could you please look at page 5 and page 11 and narrow them down to one section, please?
Okay. Yeah, on page 11, I think it was intended to be more of, kind of an example, if you will.
Okay?
Because if you look at the preceding page 10, we show, what the breakdown is, and then provide in table 8 some simple calculations for different types of establishments. And so that's why I felt that, we should address it in two locations.
Okay? So that was intended.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it says as previously described, so it,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a question.
Mike?
This is Mike Yurgo. Throughout this document here, you use the word connection fees and connections, like price per gallon, whatever. I don't know if connection is actually the right word to use when you're purchasing flow, because people look at a connection as laying a pipe to the house, and that's my one connection. So why do I have to buy more flow when I expand? Because you're using the word connection?
What would your recommended change be, Mike?
Are we purchasing flow? Because a lot of people confuse that word. Like I say, a house connection, connecting my house to the street.
Right.
I paid the $5,000. Now I put an addition on accessory dwelling. Now I either could pay half a treatment unit more or pay a full treatment unit more. Well, I already made a connection to the sewer. So that's one of the things that we have come up problems with over the years, trying to explain what the fees are and why you have a fee.
Well, I think that for the sake of table 8 on page 10, the entire document is accessibility fees. So you could just lose the word connection, and you could just have estimated flow and fee,
Yeah.
and that would be fine. You could use accessibility
So
for the fee.
The first column would be customer type, right?
True.
So what we can do, Mike Yurgo, is if you could come up with a recommendation for the change in the verbiage for our workshop, then we can incorporate it at the workshop at that time?
Yep.
Good. Anybody else?
Did you want to have a prospective date for the workshop, or what was your thinking?
We can do a perspective,
Just-
Since it is a workshop, your suggestion of a Zoom meeting would be appropriate.
we can conduct a workshop at the DPW facility with the permission of the Public Works Director. Can we make a Zoom connection with Mike Trank at that location?
I would recommend WebEx. That's the platform that the town is
Right.
using.
But right now, the DPW, actually, they're closed. They don't allow anybody into the building.
Okay. Well, so that's not gonna work.
So the town has a WebEx hosting account
We do, yes.
that we could utilize for this?
In this room.
From this room, yeah. If you wanted to
Or you could do it
project onto
remote,
that screen
or-
behind you.
So maybe we could look at some dates, Lynn, for when this room is not scheduled to be in use? And you could let us know when this room would be available for us to do a
What time frame are you looking at?
same time.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, Mike Trank, when does Hoyle Tanner, are they supposed to open back up for business? Has that date been established?
Not definitively. We're still looking at this coming Monday, the 18th, but that date is contingent upon the company having, all the protective equipment that they need available for employees, and we don't have it all yet. So,
30 days?
Well, would it make sense to do before the 29th
the 18th.
What month?
of May? Isn't that when the bills go out? Was there anything to discuss?
No, I don't think anything in our discussion about accessibility fees is germane to the billing, do you?
No, I just thought we would all be together if there was any items that weren't being voted on that needed to be discussed.
Well, the only thing is gonna be that letter, and you're all gonna have a chance to edit the letter
Okay,
that I just will sign with your recommendation.
okay.
So I don't
It's still
see
be
us,
non-public, ain't it?
well, yeah, it is a non-public meeting, it's a workshop, it's not a public meeting,
So,
so. Well, then I think we need to go back to our original request. Maybe you could possibly find out through the town administrator when this room is available for a 6 o'clock meeting. And we don't need to have public access, we just need to have a connection that we have now, so Mike Tran could participate. I assume, Mike, you would prefer to stay home and not participate publicly? In person, rather?
That's my first preference.
Okay. Can you yell from the other end of the room?
I could do that too.
Okay. Why don't we I'm gonna let Rob Drapaz confer with you via your messaging and try to figure something out and get back to the rest of us. It'll work, make it work.
If the town has
Yeah, that's fine.
WebEx, then it's pretty simple.
We'll accommodate whatever works best for you folks.
Thank you, Mike.
So what time frame do you want me to look?
I think early evening like this, 6 o'clock.
No, I mean, what, like, day of the, what month, what week?
In June,
what?
if we can, sometime in June.
Okay.
And then, it's just one step out of the way. Because it is a workshop, and the sooner we get the workshop done, the sooner we can make a decision.
Yeah, because you got budget season coming with it.
Right.
That's the other question I'm gonna have.
Well, you can get your chance in a minute. Any more discussion on the sewer accessibility fee workshop, or what we're gonna do with it at this point from the other commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move on to Mike's other request. Mike, your go, please.
The budget season's coming upon us there, and I guess we go in June, I think, or July, to the budget committee, or CIP committee. As you know, contract price for construction has doubled. So if I change all the budget numbers, it's also going to change your budget numbers for your accessibility fees, because that's going to basically be, construction to be double. So when I present the budget, do I gonna go with what I get figured, that I had figured before, or I'm gonna go with the new construction cost prices, which is actually gonna double the amount of money?
My first question for you is what information are you working off of that you're telling me construction prices are doubled?
For the last 2 years of construction for replacement of a sewer line.
Right, and we've opted to either not accept the bid or do something less and try to work within our budgetary constraints. Is that correct, Mike?
We try to work with our budgetary constraints.
So we might not be able to get as much done as we'd like to by the old price structure. Okay. I see that as a budgetary question we have to discuss as a commission.
Yeah.
And budget season might get some sort of a delay this year. I don't know what our government is doing about budget season at this time. We might have to get some advice from finance as to whether the process is going to have a 30-day delay and we're going to expect it to be speedier in our processes. I'm not sure where we are yet.
At this point in time, we're still trying to stay on course with the regular schedule, so CIP is starting in June. There's planning to begin meeting.
Which may make it more difficult for us to get this room in June, so we might want to look at May.
Well, CIP meets the opposite from planning board, so that's a 7 o'clock meeting. I know that for a fact, so we could, I'm sure that that's not going to be that. The budget committee, yes, that is going to start meeting after CIP, though. CIP does their work first, and they don't usually wrap up until July.
So stick with June then.
Stick with June.
Should I go with the 5 o'clock time frame instead of 6?
I think
or-
6 is better,
6 is
because
still good?
people have to
Okay.
get home from work, and,
Okay.
I don't know, is that a problem for you?
Work? What's that?
I can accommodate.
I can accommodate also. I could make a 5 o'clock meeting if needed.
Well, I'm just thinking if the
No.
room, I don't know how much
Fine.
time we need.
Fine.
Yeah, no, earlier is fine, especially right now.
5 o'clock?
How long?
So, that's 1 hour. I think we do a 1 hour workshop.
Okay, I'm just, so I can help her,
I
she's
think a
looking at
1
the
hour
calendar.
workshop would do us.
Well, I'll look at 5 or 6. If 6 is available, I'll go with 6. If not, I'll go with 5.
5 is fine.
Okay,
Try
I'll
to
go with
schedule for
5
5
then.
o'clock. That way Danielle can go home sooner. Or whoever has
Oh,
to
she's gonna
come.
stay here later.
She's not going to be here for that.
Or Mike can go home sooner then. So Mike, to answer your question, we're going to have to discuss the upcoming projects and decide if we are going to keep going full steam, or if we're going to, as commission, we're going to decide to back off a little bit.
Yep, so it needs to,
And I have a question for you. Are we starting our 2020 sewer reconstruction project yet? Have you got any information back from our signed contract?
Yeah, right now, we'll be looking at shop drawings for that project. The project is still stated to start in mid-June
Okay,
for right now, so.
Good.
It was from mid-June to September 1st or August 31st because of the school busing, but that doesn't come into play anymore, so. They talked to them and they said, yeah, they still want for mid-June,
good. Glad to hear that.
so shop drawings.
Any other questions from the other commissioners on our upcoming project? Could you give Dave Pierce a very brief rundown on the streets involved? Just
The
let him-
streets involved is actually from East Union. It's basically from Main Street to the East Union Street Pump Station's driveway. Are replacing the sewer main there because it was in bad condition.
And in conjunction with the water main work that's going on?
And there might be water main going on after that.
Right.
Depending upon the developer.
Right.
That's still up, that part's still up in the air.
Okay,
They're also doing one segment of Fairview Street in Penaville for the Mass Road, doing approximately about 300 feet. Then after that, we're gonna be doing some point repairs on the next segment, because we found that the
the
sewer main
X-
was replaced by.
What segment?
Huh?
Point
Fairview
repairs on
Fairview
what?
Street.
On the second segment on Fairview Street.
Fairview.
We found that the sewer main was replaced some point in time with corrugated metal pipe.
Huh?
Way back when, so,
What?
yeah,
Nice smooth flow.
yeah, let's move forward, so. They're gonna be part of point repairs on the second leg. So that's basically, it's only 790 feet between the two projects.
Was that before your time?
That was before my
Okay,
time.
you're excused.
I don't have nothing to do with it.
So very quickly then, Mike, if that is corrugated metal pipe on the second segment,
Yeah,
and we discover, has that been cambered?
that's why we found it.
So should we just continue our reconstruction up Fairview Street and fix it right and get it over with? Maybe give,
I have to see what the footage is, because normally the cost of a segment, if you go beyond 50% of the point repairs, then it's worth replacing from manhole to manhole.
I guess it would depend what's,
Yeah,
what other types of pipe are in there?
the rest of it's clay pipe, so.
Okay. Okay, well, we can discuss that. Could you give us an update on that at a future date on
Yeah.
your recommendation, please?
Yeah, we can do that,
Thank you. Doesn't have to be a big deal, just
yeah.
verbal, so we can consider it or not consider it.
The other, I don't know, I keep on going?
Keep
or-
going, let's get it
All right.
over with.
The other thing I have is we got three quotes
I saw them.
from paving outfits and contractor to replace the East Union Pump Station driveway in the parking area. The roadway itself has never been paved since I've been here. And the parking lot for the East Union Pump Station was done when they built the pump station back in 1985. And it's never been replaced or been touched. And also, a couple of years back, we moved the fence outwards towards the lawn area to have the propane tank in the fenced area. We put a gate in at the East Union Pump Station. You have a photo.
Got three quotes here, right?
Yeah, there's three quotes. We moved the fence out around the propane tank quite a few years ago, and that's all grassed area, but we do plow it, so what we want to do is remove the loom, and there's not very much loom, and put some gravel in there and pave that whole section, so
Okay.
actually the pavement would be encumbrance completely around the building, instead of on three sides.
Will the proposed sewer line work that's going to happen on East Union Street affect this paving proposal?
Probably will be, well, it will affect probably the yard, because they're gonna have to find a place to have a staging area. So I don't know if they're gonna talk to the people on Factory Street, to use some of their lot, or they'll use some of the area at the East Union Pump Station to
So
store their materials and be a staging area.
So would you recommend that you do your work on East Union Street first and then do your paving and reclamation second?
Right, well, we talked to all three contractors. We told them we'd be doing it in the fall after the construction.
How about the patch paving in the street? Is that going to be the contractor's responsibility to do? It's not part of anything of this to do with this, right?
No, this driveway's got nothing to do, it's separate from their sewer replacement project.
So I see the first price is from GMI Asphalt,
Yep,
47.8.
yeah, that was 47.8 for him.
Second price is in two parts, and I added them up and got 46,366, is that correct?
That's what I got.
46,366, that's the magic number.
And the last proposal was for 48.5.
So they're basically almost about $1,500 a piece, split between all of them.
So do you have a recommendation, or are we just gonna accept low bid?
Well, I believe that Advanced Excavating, if I remember right, told me they do work for Sur Construction.
Say that
They
again?
do the paving for Sur Construction,
Okay.
and so if they
Have
do
you
the,
worked with any of these before?
I think Continental hires Advanced, for they did a sidewalk in Pinaville way back. GMI, they did the ball field, and they also did Warren Ave and Eden Street.
And the last one is Dino Construction
Dean,
from
yeah.
town?
That was the deal, you know. So I wanna get some, I wanna get three so I can get something compared.
They're all pretty tight.
We
Yeah,
wanna
they're only
act-
$1,500, $1,600 a piece.
You wanna
Split.
act on this tonight, commissioners? Or do you wanna review it for future discussion?
Were all three submissions meet your specifications of the work,
Yeah, they're all the same, they're all the same,
Scope.
thing, just the gravel.
the scope of work?
Right, they're gonna reclimate the roadway itself, some of the parking lot, they didn't get a reclamator in, and the rest of it is gonna have to be mechanically removed.
Right.
And add gravel in the grassy area when we remove the loam and the grass, which is not much of, very sandy soil.
I would feel inclined with a low bid. They're all in the ballpark.
Rob?
Yeah, I mean, they're all tight. I guess I would defer to Mike Yurgo as far, I don't have experience with any of these companies. If he deems they're all suitable, and
Well, then, do you want to formulate a motion then, David?
This is the, excuse me, but the name of the project is?
East Union Pump Station.
The okay, motion for the work at the East Union Pump Station that was, we received 3 bids. A motion for awarding the project to Advanced Excavating Paving for $46,366.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion's been made to award the bid to the low bidder of Advanced Excavating Paving for a total lump sum of $46,366. We did follow required guidelines and get 3 written bids, which is a town policy. So I would ask for any discussion on the motion. Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. Roll call vote, David Pierce?
Yes.
Rob Trapas?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, it's a unanimous vote. So, Mike, you could inform this low bidder, Advanced Excavating Paving, of the award.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
The next-
Anybody else have any other business for the commission tonight?
Yeah, we actually got some more stuff coming. Corey is checking into, well, he did, he asked storage units. We have an issue with our storage units. We have an old Army trailer that we've been using for storage. We got a box from
And where is this storage unit?
the DPW. It's an old Army box that we use for generations.
And this is to store fittings and
Fittings and
parts
yeah,
for
parts for
emergency
store.
repairs.
Yeah, we got a box from another company that gave us to us for nothing, and it's pretty shabby, apparently. And we do use East Union Pump Station, the old glory room. We add parts there too. So we're looking to do some kind of a storage units to store this material because it's overcrowded. And Corey went in to get some parts for inventory, and apparently the mice are in there eating the rubbers out of the fittings. So we ended up throwing some fittings around.
So I'm going to show these to the other commissioners, but I'll just summarize them here. They have 3 quotes. The only ones that are all the same are for a 20-foot overseas container. I'll show you the numbers here. The one logistics company, I don't know, Page Street. A new 20-foot container is $3,600 with an $85 delivery charge. Pac Van Corporation, I guess they call themselves, a 20-foot ground level container. A used one is $28, a new one is up to $4,100. And the other company is Smart Storage Solutions. A new 20-foot is $3,150 plus $100 delivery. So it would appear that the low bidder is the third of the 3 for 20-footers. They did quote a 40-footer. The first one did, but the other ones did not quote a 40-footer.
Is Corey still on the line?
He is.
Corey and I spoke about this a little bit, and
I actually spoke with him myself.
my question, initially, he was talking about a 20-footer, and then we started talking about a 40-footer, and then whether 2 20-footers, and I guess I'm more interested in hearing about what his needs are, so we can most appropriately meet them.
Corey, your line's unmuted if you'd like to reply.
Sure. For the sheer amount of fittings we have just kind of floating around at DPW, they're in 2 different spots, and both those storage areas they don't seal. And like Yergo had said, the mice are actually starting to get in there and eat the rubbers. We have quite an inventory of fittings, and it'd be nice to get them all organized in one spot. The stuff we have over at East Union is actually nice up on shelves. It's dry. That stuff lasts, but everything else is kind of scattered about. And it's kind of an open door. Anybody can walk in there, DPW, whoever's around the yard, and take whatever they want out of it. And all of the DPW stuff is kind of all mixed in with it too. So it'd be nice to get all our stuff organized and in our own dry, sealable storage area.
Corey, would you recommend that be located at DPW or at the pump station on East Union Street?
It's kind of nice to have fittings in East Union if we need something downtown, and if we keep some stuff at the DPW office, it's kind of nice because it's a quick ride from Pinardville if you need something. So it'd be beneficial to probably store whatever we get, and as far as space-wise too, there's a lot of room at the DPW we could find to actually store one of these.
Do you foresee any hard feelings over us separating ours from them and locking it up so they can't get into it? I guess that's the most blunt way to put it.
First thought, no, I don't think. If we remove our stuff from where it is now, that will open up. If they want to leave their stuff in those old trailers, that's up to them. That's fine. I don't foresee any hard feelings. Me and Adam and Mr. Mike Hillhouse had kind of have the discussion of getting them, and it didn't seem like there was any hard feelings as we talked about maybe finding a spot to put one of these.
Well, then, I guess it would go without saying that the DPW would still have availability to borrow fittings if you have the key to the lock and you dish them out. Is that about the gist of it?
Yeah, and I would kind of my long-term goal, once I can get something set up with shelves, to inventory all this stuff and actually either have a spreadsheet, computer, to actually keep track of all of it. So if something does walk away, we can find out where it went and who's responsible for replacing it. Because obviously we know there are a lot of contractors in town that are doing connections that might need something, and we kind of have you can take it and replace it deal as it is. And same thing, if DPW hits something, I'll grab the fittings, replace it, and then they can get me back the fittings.
Commissioners?
Corey, are you interested in one 20-footer or one 40-footer? What was your thought process?
And looking, I actually drove around and I checked out a couple of the 20-footers, and there is quite a bit of space in them, but we do have, the other issue we have there too, is we have a lot of pipe that's just out in the weather. And a lot of it I'm gonna need to throw away because it is so sun bleached, I don't dare ever put it in the ground. Because it is getting to the point where it's brittle now. So at first thought I was thinking of one of these just for the fittings, but if you look at the amount of fittings we have, and it would be nice to actually get some of this pipe out of the weather so it'll actually last. So in all, you could deal with one, but two, in my opinion, would probably be, two 20-footers would probably be more helpful in the long run.
Well, two 20-footers is going to cost one more than one 40-footer, so what's your recommendation, to get one 40-footer for less money, Corey?
Well, the other issue, like me and Rob had talked about, and I think you and I might have discussed it, if there is ever that possibility that the sewer and DPW might have issues or whatever, as far as moving the storage container off of the property, it would be a lot more simple to just take a 20-footer and you put it on a flatbed, Duval, whatever, just pull it on a trailer and away it goes, where a 40-footer is a lot harder to move if we ever need to.
All right. Commissioners?
Corey, the inside of this 20-foot container, are you proposing that you and Mike would be the carpenters building shelving?
We can, so the options there, we can build shelving, that's not the end of the world, or there's a couple companies that make shelving. The DPW just purchased a bunch of shelving that's actually tight. You can bolt it right up to the wall, it's steel. If we wanted to go that route, we could, or we can build shelves one way or another. Building shelves in the long run is probably cheaper.
This is Dave Pierce, I'd like you to give that some thought, because it behooves you to make the most efficient use of the inside of this container and just not lump everything on the floor.
Oh, no, the whole point is to get everything up off of the floor. Because most of it now is just down on the ground.
Corey, I'd like to make a recommendation here. What if we were to discuss purchasing a single 20-foot container so that you could store fittings, pipe lube, and other essentials in there, and for the short term, store the pipe on the side of it and at very least cover the pipe, or is that too much pipe to cover on the side of the lean-to in the short term?
After I get through throwing some of it away, that might be doable. There, believe it or not, I was looking at this pile today, we have a fair amount of pipe there. There'd probably need to build some sort of a rack or, I don't know, some sort of a roof to try to get it out of the sun.
All right, well, can we discuss that later and move forward with a single container tonight, in your opinion?
Yeah, I would be happy with that.
All right, well, I wrote down the prices here. With delivery, one quote is $36.85. With delivery, one quote is $32.50. And the mid-quote has a range of $28 to $41 plus delivery.
One of those was used, right?
Yeah.
28.
In talking with all these different vendors, the rental ones through all of these guys, or the used boxes, are in terrible condition. They tell you right away they are hard used. And the other ones that they call them new, one trip over the ocean.
Yeah.
Those ones are straight, clean. They were used one time and that was it.
Disinfected?
So I would, suggest the new one trip one.
Bring dead bodies.
All right, so the prices I've stated on the record tonight is one trip, one of the bidders is $36.85, the other bidder for a one trip is $42.90, and the other bidder for a one trip is $32.50. So, Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Once again, I'm inclined for the low bid.
Yeah, I am as well. I guess the only thought is, do any of these companies do the shelving as well? And just get it delivered that way, or do you know how much the shelving is gonna cost us?
Given the name of the low bidder of Smart Storage Solutions, I would think that it's part of their business.
Well, Corey, could you make inquiries regarding shelving and get back to the commission on it? And could you also please, if we recommend a low bidder tonight, I would want you to take a trip and inspect the container that we're going to be prospectively purchasing, and you'll approve a one-trip container before they send us one and it doesn't meet your standards?
Yes, in this, the bidder, I think you guys are talking, the low bidder here, when I talked to him, he is one of the only ones that really pushes you to actually come and look at the container, inspect it first, and then ship it to you. So this guy, I already asked him that, and he is all for it.
And he's the one that's in the state?
Yep, this guy is right out of Hooksett, he says.
Yeah.
So if there's no more discussion on it, I'll request a motion.
I'll make the motion. It's motion to approve purchase of a once-used 20-foot
Here's the name of the company, David.
container. It's a Smart Storage Solution.
Thank you.
Is that a new trailer?
It's a one-use trailer, one trip over the ocean.
And for the $3,100 plus $100 delivery fee,
For a total of
for a total of $3,200.
$50. No?
Plus,
100 plus,
and plus
right
delivery.
on the top.
Delivery fee?
$3,150. Yes, so the cost is $3,150 plus $100 delivery, for a total of $3,250.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, I'm going to have a roll call vote. David Pierce?
Yes,
Rob Trepaz?
Yes.
Tim Redmond votes yes. So we're going to, Corey, you're going to go inspect the Smart Solutions trailer and give us, and if it's all right with you, you can go ahead and order one and we'll get it paid for.
Excellent, yeah, I will take care of that.
Any other business before the commission tonight?
yes.
Dave?
Lynn,
Yes.
you have a customer that has been, failed to make two payments on a 6-month schedule, Mass Road
Got fixed.
LLC.
You
Has
got-
that been resolved?
That has been resolved. They sent the payment in. It's all taken care of.
Both payments were made.
Yes.
So you
Current.
had,
Everything is-
that was a
he's
very
current right
successful
now.
letter you wrote then.
Thank you. Yes, it was. Yes, and going forward, I'm going to invoice them and follow up
open
and
line,
make
do
sure
we?
that he sends it in.
Do we have an open line? I hear.
Chet.
Yeah, we left it
we
open
left
for
open for
Chet
Chet?
so that he could,
Okay,
instead of
good.
raising his hands, all of them, so that they could.
Because we forgot him before.
So I'm gonna, before we adjourn, I'm gonna go request Chet Bowen. Does Chet Bowen, as Selectman's rep, have anything for us at this time before we adjourn?
I do not, but thank you for recognizing that.
Okay. All right then, is there anything else before the commission tonight?
Just to let you know that we're gonna be contacting Water Industries. They're the government representative for the state. The Riverview Park building is leaking, which is a prefabricated building. It's a fiberglass prepackaged building. So when we all can get together and get a little closer, we're gonna have them come down and see what we can do about sealing that building up. Because it's leaking through the screw holes and the seams.
Would you start over again? Where's this building?
Riverview Park
And it's the roof that's leaking?
roof, the roof is leaking and they got all screws around the roof to hold it together at the seams. Well, it's all leaking now, so.
So do you access Riverview Park by way of Moose Club Park?
Nope, go Rock Rimmon
Rock Rimmon, okay.
project, gotta go through there.
That's the pump station at the end of the rail trail? Was that what that?
No.
No?
No, it's in Rock Rimmon, cross the river from the landfill. Or
Okay,
across from Moose Club, cross the river.
okay.
That's where it's located. And you're gonna go through Manchester,
Oh, that's,
Rock Rimmon to
I know
get
what you
to
mean.
Riverview Park.
okay.
When was that installed?
1995, I believe.
And if there's a,
So it's 25-year shelf life.
if there is a repair required, will you gain estimates for our consideration?
Yeah, as soon as we find what we can do with it.
What's the advantage of having Water Industries?
It's
Look
their
at the bill.
building. I mean, it was purchased through them.
Okay.
That's why, it's a Goodman Run package building, so who else are you gonna call, you know?
I think of pumps. That's-
Right, but it's
Not
the-
shingles,
It's the, yeah, it's a fiberglass building, so.
yeah.
So before we call for any other votes, Danielle, has there been any interest from the public to call in? We didn't put anybody on hold here?
No.
Okay, good. I want to make sure because sometimes it's hard to get through or people understand the system. Okay, Dave?
As I'm a new guy on the block, help me out on this following one. Back in July 18, Tim made a motion to approve the sewer use ordinance, seconded by Rob. Yeah, I asked Lynn, if it was approved on July 18, why does the cover say November 17?
I can't tell you that.
Me neither.
Mike, didn't you tell me that, because I questioned that myself.
That's the last
We
version that was
started it,
made.
that's the last one that we actually got.
That's the one that was approved, it's the last version.
It's just,
Just a
That's,
dated
So the-
version.
The motion back in July 18 was really to reaffirm that that is still current?
How's that sound to you, Mike?
That is the current one, it's the last,
Okay,
it's
so
the
I
last
guess-
version.
Did we make
Because
changes
there were revisions to it, I believe.
to the,
Yeah, we did that 3 years
Is
ago.
Mike Trank still on the line?
Mike?
yes.
Yeah, we did that 3 years ago.
Go ahead, Mike.
Where is it?
I'm here.
Do you have the sewer use ordinance? The latest one that we have here, the cover says November
17.
2017, and we approved it in July of 2018.
18.
Do we have a later one than November?
Well, there would have been, because it had to be reviewed by the state. Had to go to DES, and Mike would have shepherded that through.
we'll let Mike talk. Mike Trank, what do you got to say?
I'm just looking through my files. I'll have to check.
I don't think this is fair. David talked about us not putting him on the spot.
I know. No, I looked through all the files that we had, and that's the
That's
latest
last
one that I
revision
have.
we got.
Well, Mike, could you just review what you remember and give us a report at our next month, at our workshop, if possible, or at our next scheduled meeting, please?
Yeah, because I know we changed stuff because we worked with Paula Boyle on, and it was a lot of the industrial things that were changed.
We might have changed it, but he didn't change the
The cover?
cover sheet, maybe?
DES missed it too?
No
Or
big
maybe
deal.
it was, maybe that's one.
Yeah, well,
This is what you get because I read all the minutes for the last 2 years.
Thank you for your observations,
thank you
Dave.
very much.
Well, I guess you get time on your hands.
He doesn't work, he said so. All right, if there's no more other business, we know what the next motion should be.
Motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second by Mike, by Rob.
Absolutely.
Okay, motion to adjourn has been made and seconded.
Roll call.
Any discussion on the motion? No. Roll call vote, David Pierce,
Yes.
Rob Trapas.
Yes.
Tim Redmond votes yes. Thank you all for watching this riveting meeting.
Contemporaneously.
Night.